I cut me farm. Flat me warashi, I cut me farm. When I get her.
Presidential salute! Greetings! Out!
My poem is entitled, I am a proud Amerindian. You see me? I am a proud Amerindian. I work very hard. My family and I work together hand in hand. Off I go in the morn to cut barn, clean and plant my farm. I patiently await the rain with a contented heart. There would be much gain. I am a proud Amerindian. I love to hunt and fish. A warashi full of game is my only wish. In the evening as I return, happy faces welcome me with open arms. I am a proud Amerindian. I love to sing and dance. I reap my crop. I eat a lot. Come one and all, it's time to celebrate. Come let us do the mari. Drink parakari and do the bird dance. Look how we will all gyrate.
Thank you, Soraya. Please be seated. Chairman Mervyn Williams, Honorable Prime Minister, Vice President Sidney Allicock, and other Vice Presidents, colleague ministers of the Cabinet, former ministers of the government, Caroline Rodriguez, members of the National Assembly, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, Chairman of the National Tushaus Council and other Tushaus and village captains, special invitees, members of the media, fellow Guyanese, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be invited this evening to kick off the celebrations for Indigenous Heritage Month 2015. As you know, this month of September used to be called Amerindian Heritage Month, but it has been redesignated Indigenous Heritage Month out of respect to you, the indigenous people of this country, the original inhabitants of this land. Our government is pleased to be associated with Indigenous Heritage Month, dedicated to observances and events which highlight various aspects of Indigenous life and showcase their contributions to national life. The rich and diverse cultural heritage of our indigenous peoples need to be safeguarded. Modernization and penetration by other cultures are threatening many of the traditions and values which our people hold dear. Culture encompasses the totality of a people's experience and existence. Culture incorporates customs and traditions. Culture is about values and relationships with one another and with the environment. It is about languages. And today, I wish particularly to express my hopes and future for indigenous languages in our republic. The theme of this year's Indigenous Heritage Month is preserving our customs and traditions. And at the forefront of that mission is our emphasis on the preservation of language. The Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana is very clear. It says unambiguously in Article 149G, and I quote from the Supreme Law of the land, "Indigenous peoples shall have the right to the protection and preservation and promulgation of their languages, cultural heritage, and way of life." That's our Constitution, our supreme law. It is my obligation to fulfill this injunction of our Constitution. During the recent election campaign, I visited many indigenous communities in which older people still speak their original languages. I often had to have someone to translate what I was saying into the indigenous languages of the communities I visited. Many people in some of those villages do not speak English as their first language, and they can communicate best in their indigenous language. It is therefore important that those languages be preserved and practiced, because for many, it is the most efficient means of personal communication. I do believe there must be some spiritual dimension as well, because 4 months ago, when I was campaigning with Sydney and my wife Sandra and others in the Rupununi region, we were in the middle of a drought. And I don't know what this man Sydney did, but he brought a dancing troupe from North Rupununi, the Makushi dancing troupe. And they did their dance and sang their songs, and the rains came in the middle of a drought. So there must be something in the Makushi language which made the clouds open. Unfortunately, I don't know that he was able to make it stop, because 2 weeks later he called me to tell me that the road in Arnaputa was washing away from the rains. So time to stop dancing, Sydney. So, my brothers and sisters, I speak from personal experience which has enriched my understanding of our people and strengthened my commitment to social cohesion in this country. I am amazed that we all could live in a beautiful country without understanding or even trying to understand the names of the rivers, the mountains, the waterfalls and villages that surround us. We are ignorant of the meanings of the names of plants, fish, birds, animals, which abound in the hinterland. We are really ignorant of the environment around us. And I was so happy last month when the Caribbean Development Bank sent a delegation here, and the president, Mr. Warren Smith, was speaking of some place called Quatemang, he doesn't know where it is. And I was able to say, I was there. They had some electrical extension project in Quatemang. I said, Quata is monkey, and Mang is mountain. Quatemang is monkey mountain. And it's a Makushi village in the north, Rupununi. But that is just one part of our experience. Many people don't know where Quatemang is. But we all must understand what our brothers and sisters are saying, and what Quata means, and what Mang means. Many of our traders, our travelers, our tourists, our public servants, sometimes our doctors, newspaper reporters, and many others spend long periods in the hinterland. And they leave the hinterland without learning a single sentence of the language of the people among whom they lived for so long. We are all poorer for not being able to communicate with each other and to appreciate the deeper meaning of the ancient words of these ancient peoples. Words which were used to describe nature, which were used to describe the environment to which they belonged. It is time for that ignorance to end. It is time for all of us as Guyanese to embrace indigenous languages. Language is an important medium for communication. Language enables humans to act collectively. Language makes human cooperation possible. Language is part of our people's identity. Language shapes our sense and our senses and our identity so we know who we are. Language helps us to express how we represent ourselves to one another. The manner in which language is used also determines how others see us and how others respond to us. A people's language can create associations with other communities and within their own communities. It's a form of bonding. The heritage of our indigenous peoples, therefore, should be seen as the patrimony of all Guyana. Languages speak to that heritage. The languages of our indigenous peoples contain the wisdom passed down from generation to generation. The loss of language, therefore, contributes to the loss of culture for our entire nation. Your government favors cultural retention, cultural continuity. We respect your identity and your heritage, and we therefore want to see those languages preserved and propagated. And that task is a task that is imposed to all generations, but particularly at this point in time, on the state. The language of our indigenous peoples, unfortunately, are under threat. These languages are being neglected. In some cases, they are taught in a few of our schools, but in far too many cases, they are not. The passage of indigenous language from one generation to the next is not proceeding seamlessly. In some instances, young people are not keen on maintaining the traditions of speaking in their own native languages. It is not one of the social languages of the BlackBerry generation. It is not transmitted to future generations. And if that lack of transmission continues, the languages will eventually die. They will eventually be forgotten. We cannot allow this to happen. And today I wish to emphasize the importance of preserving indigenous languages. When I spoke to the National Tushaus Conference a few days ago, I proposed the establishment of a Hinterland Language, Cultural and Sports Commission. This commission, among other things, will be charged with responsibility for promoting and preserving the indigenous languages in accordance with our Constitution. to protect, preserve, and promulgate indigenous languages. This will be a priority for our Commission. The Commission will also take steps to ensure that the traditions and cultures and customs flourish and that they are more widely appreciated and respected. The Commission will also take steps to document and record all languages, not only the few that are already the subject of dictionaries. We will ensure that wherever possible, children in indigenous communities receive a part of their formal instruction in their native languages. We'll work to ensure the publication of the additional dictionaries which do not yet exist. As you know, there are 9 indigenous nations in Guyana: the Arawak or Lokonum, the Akawayo, the Arekuna, the Carib or Carinia, the Makushi, the Patamona, the Wapishana, the Waiwai, and the Warao. These 9 languages have enriched our cultural understanding and our social cohesion. So far, dictionaries have been produced for only 7 of the 9, and it is the mission of this government to complete the dictionaries for the other 2 languages, the Carib and the Patamona. Your government will re-establish the Amerindian Languages Project at the University of Guyana, and henceforth it will no longer be known as the ARU or the ALP, but the Indigenous Peoples Language Project. This project will be tasked with the completion of those 2 additional dictionaries I spoke to you of, and it ensuring that those dictionaries are disseminated not only in the indigenous communities, but throughout the public service, so that public servants serving in indigenous communities will be able to communicate with the people there in the language they understand. Today, I am honored and proud to be here amongst you, and I'd like to close with the theme of these celebrations: preserving our customs and our traditions. I thank you for having me in your company today, and I wish that you continue to have successful Indigenous Heritage Month, and pray that God may bless you all. Thank you. Especially me.
So you can get them. So you can get fish.
All right. Cheers.